Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're gonna do a detailed video about shooting the ACSS reticle at 300 yards. Okay, so I posted a video yesterday where I had this rifle at a different location. I was shooting 300 yards. This is a reticle AR-15. It's got the Holosun 503g, which has the ACSS reticle, which has a built-in bullet drop compensator. And then behind it, I have the Vortex 6X magnifier, okay? So the great thing about matching up the optic with the 6X magnifier is that I have the benefit of magnification, but I also have the benefit of a red dot where I can flip this off to the side. I can do fast target acquisition. And if I want to go light, I can take this off, put this in a backpack somewhere, and now I have a much lighter gun. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I favor the magnifier over the variable scope. With the variable scope, you're stuck with 1.5 pounds, whereas with this, I got a really light optic on there once I remove this. And then if because especially at night, you're not going to need this at night, okay? And then when you do need this, like in the daytime, if you're going to be going through an open field, let's get this back on there. It's a lot easier if you rest on something. Back on there. There we go. Okay, so if you're going to be moving through an open field, you just throw it back on there, and you can flip this off to the side, and then when you need it, you just flip it back on. So this is an excellent option, okay? Over the winter time, I did a video where I was shooting this rifle at 100 yards, and I got 1 inch at 100 yards. So that is a 1 MOA rifle, and I wanted to see if I take it out to 300 yards, how's that ACSS going to scale? How are my holdovers going to work? I wanted to test that out. Now, when I shot this over the winter, okay, I got here. Basically, this is what the ACSS reticle looks like, right? Nice thing is it's a chevron, so you got that tip. When working with a magnifier, okay, this is this type of a reticle is excellent, because if you're just using a 2 MOA dot, let's say you use a 3X magnifier, well, now that 2 MOA dot became a 6 MOA dot, so it gets enlarged. Of course, the target behind it also gets enlarged by the same amount. But if you're using, let's say, the 6X magnifier, then the 2 MOA dot becomes a 12 MOA dot, which again, like I said, the target is magnified, so everything's staying the same, relatively speaking. However, if you've got the chevron, you've got the benefit that you've got the tip here that really doesn't grow much, and now you have a really fine aiming point to take better shots. So that's another reason why I love the chevron, okay? So over the winter time, you guys should check out, I did the shooting where I did the 1 MOA with that rifle. You guys should check it out. To find that video, search my channel name, like whatever my channel name is above. Enter my channel name in the search field, and then put reticle and then 1 MOA, and it should bring up that video. If you look at that video, okay, at the 100 yards, like I was putting my tip at the bottom of the bullseye here, and my shots were impacting to the right, but center bullseye. Okay, so I was impacting center bullseye at the right. Now, the reason why I left it there is because it was a little bit windy. I didn't know if the wind was pushing my bullets to the right, and I decided to leave it there. After yesterday's shooting and today's shooting, I can see that everything is impacting, like at the 300, because this is from the 300 yards from yesterday. At the 300 yards, I'm about 6 inches to the right. Here. At the 100 yards that I shot today, I'm about 2 inches to the right. Right, so what that means is, yeah, I need to adjust to the left. So later on, I'm going to go, because it's 2 inches to the right, I'm going to go 4 clicks to the left, and that should bring me center. Okay, but that's fine. That's easy enough to do. We're aware of what it is at this point. Now, what I really want to focus on this video, though, is the elevation. Okay, because like I said, when I shot this at the 100 yards over the winter, I was impacting here. And I'm like, okay, fine, let's take this out to 300 yards, and let's see where they're gonna land, okay? So when I went to the other location yesterday, and what I did is I put this out at 300 yards. I took the chevron, and what I did is I put the chevron like that, I straddled the bullseye. I straddled the bullseye. And when I straddled the bullseye, I was impacting up here. So that from the center, that's about 12 inches up. Okay, so I am 12 inches high at 300 yards. Now, if I lowered this a little bit, if I put, instead of straddling it, because that's what the instructions say that you're supposed to do. In fact, I was supposed to put it here, but I was actually here. I was at, if I put it here, I probably would have been like right there. And I may go back to that, but what I decided to do is, you know, what I did is I took 6 shots. I saw they hit up here. I adjusted my reticle down 2 clicks. It pretty much stayed in the same area. It didn't go much, and I'm at 300 yards, and it was a windy day. You guys should see the video. That's from yesterday. Just look up radical 300 yards, and you'll find the video from yesterday. I'm in an open field. So I basically I'm grouping about 8 inches. Okay, on the windy day at 300 yards, not terrible, and it's about from the center of the bullseye, it's about 12 inches high. So 12 inches high. If you put it there, you're gonna hit somewhere up here. That's not bad at all. Even with me being off to the right a little bit, because that's from the center, it's about 6 inches to the right. I mean, it's still 6 inches to the right. If I put the reticle here, I would have been hitting up here, which is, again, that's not terrible either. So I had 2 options at that point. Instead of putting my reticle here, I could have put it here, and that probably would have brought me down over here, which I may yet go back and do that, okay? But what I decided to do is I decided to drop it another 4 clicks down, okay? So it was a total of 6 clicks down now. And then when I took another 6 shots, that's basically, you can see 1, 2, 3 on the paper, and then 3 out here. All right, so now I'm in line. Okay, so when I straddle this like that, I'm pretty much, my elevation is perfect. Okay, so what I wanted to do today, because now I'm like, okay, fine, I got this figured out at 300 yards. Straddle this, I'm hitting on that line. I wanted to take it out to 100 yards again and see what effect that adjustment had, because now when I go to 100 yards, because I adjusted 6 clicks down, where am I going to be hitting? Am I going to be hitting below my paper? I don't know. So this is today's shooting. Okay, took this out to 100 yards, and at the 100 yards, I put the tip right at the bullseye over here. Actually, it looks smaller because I was at the 300 yards, it's bigger relative to that. Actually, I have a smaller one. Let me get the small one so everything looks on scale. Hold on, let me go get that. Okay, so at the 100 yards, because the target is smaller, it's going to look like that. It's going to be a little bit smaller. Oops, I lost it. Oh, I got too much in my hands, so put that down, cover that up. Okay, so at the 100 yards, I put this here like that, and I see that my bullets are still impacting 2 inches to the right. That's fine, because we know that we got to shift this over to the left. But they're impacting from the tip. They're about 2 inches low. Okay, so 2 inches low is not a terrible thing. I mean, that's still, you know, at 100 yards, you know, you put the dot here, it's going to hit here. Who cares? You put it here, it's going to hit here. That's all good, I think. Okay, so if by using that 0, where, you know, the way I had adjusted this, well, actually, because I mean, how are you going to get there if you don't have 300 yards to test it out? If you zero in your at 100 yards, so that you're 2 inches low, right? 2 inches low at 100 yards is going to put you dead on at 300 yards elevation wise. Okay, so that's an interesting piece of data to have, and I wanted to make a video and record it, so if I ever wanted to come back to this, I can, you know, I can reference this and know what I want to do. Now, this is specifically with a 16-inch barrel, and using 55 grain PMC X-Tax. If you're using 62 grains, things are going to change, okay? But with the 55 grains, that's what it's doing. So with 55 grains, if you zero in 2 inches low at 100 yards, you're going to be pretty much you're going to have a 0 at 300 yards. Okay. Now, what I want to see is how does this now affect me at 50 yards? Okay, is it going to be completely off? So I went to the 50 yards, and initially what I did is I straddled the bullseye like that. And when I straddled the bullseye, because here's the thing, at 50 yards, you generally put your chevron on the target, all right? So if I straddle the bullseye, it's pretty much right on it. What I did over here is I tried putting the tip underneath it, and I ended up basically the center being about 1 inch low. So the way to do it is just put straddle it, put the chevron right on it, and you'll impact right on it. So this isn't bad. If you want to be dead on at 300 yards, at the 100 yards, you just zero in 2 inches low, and you'll be there. Now the question becomes, what if I want to go out to 500 yards? Okay, I do have a location where I can shoot 500 yards, but that's a little bit more driving. Eventually I'll get there. Now the ACSS has the bullet drop compensator, so it's got those little dots. So when I go out, it actually goes out to 600 yards. So I can go to 400, 500, 600. So the question now becomes, how will this be affected when I go to 400, 500, 600? And what I may end up having to do is going back to what I originally had here, right? Where instead of impacting here at 300 yards, I'm impacting there, because maybe that's where I need to be in order to hit at 400 yards and 500 yards and maybe 600 yards. So I don't know the answer to that. That's something, it's got to be tested, you know, because ultimately you got to decide at what distance do you want your bullets hitting, okay? What distance is the most important to you? Now, usually the most important distance for me is inside of 200 yards. So with the zero that I have now on this rifle, where I'm 2 inches low at 100 yards, you know, this is going to get me all the way out. You know, I'm good at 50 yards. I'm good at 100 yards, right? I'm only 2 inches low at 100 yards. I'll be good at 200 yards, at 300 yards. You know, I'm dead on. Okay, at 400 yards, again, I got that bull drop compensator, so I don't know how it's going to impact. But worst case scenario, I'll be a little bit low. I don't know. I got to see it. So this isn't a bad zero. This isn't a bad zero. And, you know, so I just wanted to put that data out there for future reference. Okay? So if you've got your ACSS, if you want to be dead on at 300, put that there and get 2 inches low. If you don't care that much about the 300, then if you do this the way I originally did it, where you put the chevron, well, actually at the 300, I'm straddling it. I'm straddling it like this, and I'm hitting up here. But if I put it underneath it, I think I'll be like only 3 inches above. So I think I might actually go back and change this. I might, because I know that I went 6 inches, I went 6 clicks down. I think I'm going to go 6 clicks up. I gotta sleep on this a little bit, but I think I may go 6 clicks up, and just know that I gotta put my tip under the bullseye to be dead on. I'm a little undecided. For now, I'm just gonna move this 4 clicks to the left, and I'll see what I do. By the way, you got the information now. Now you can kind of decide what you want to do, at what distance you want to be hitting, at what distances you want to be close. Because at some distance you're going to be a little bit off. But like I said, at the 100 yards, if I'm 2 inches low, I think I'm pretty good with that. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys saw that video from yesterday that I posted. That was a beautiful day, a lot of fun shooting. If you're not a member of my channel, subscribe. I got 3 channels on YouTube. I got backup channels because in case I get censored. I got Pocono Shooting, Absolute Gun Rights, and the original Tafa channel that goes back to 2006. And then on the uncensored platforms, I got HugeTube, Gunstreamer, and what's the other one? Odyssey. Over on Pocono, over there, my channel names are Pocono Tactical, and on Rumble, I'm Pocono Guns. Talk to you all soon again. So I had a little bit more time to think about this, and I made a decision. I'm going to adjust that reticle back to where I originally had it set. Which was that when I straddle this at 300 yards, it's gonna hit up there. But what I'm actually gonna do is when I'm at 300 yards, I'm gonna put the tip here. Okay, now you might say, well, listen, from here to here, it's only about 2 inches. That's only gonna move that about 2 inches down. But because of the scale, you know, when you move this a little bit further, that's probably going to bring this down to center. And the reason why I decided to go that way is I'm using a 55 grain bullet. The way that this was originally, the way that if you read the instruction manuals for the ACSS, it's set to a 62 grain bullet, which is going a little bit slower. So the adjustment that I made, where I brought it down a little bit, might really put my 62 grains very low. So between the instructions saying to do it this way and the way I'm now thinking about it, yeah, it makes sense. I'm going to set this so that the way I originally had it, you know, of course I gotta move it 4 clicks to the left to get this centered, but I'm going to set it so that at 100 yards, when I put my chevron here, I'm impacting right there. Okay, so and I'm gonna at 300 yards, I do exactly the same thing. At 300 yards, I'm there. That's probably gonna put me like right here. Okay, and then at 400 and 500 yards, I gotta test it out. That seems to be the better way to approach this. So yeah, again, I wanted to add this into the video because I don't know when I'm gonna get out to because I have access to a 1,000-yard range, but I don't know when I'm gonna get there. So at the point that I get there, I want to be able to reference back to this video to see what I ended up doing. Okay, because otherwise, I got so many guns, it's hard for me to keep track of what I do on every gun. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna set this up so at 300 yards, tip goes there, and I should be impacting either just above it or right on it. Hope you guys enjoyed that video.